guys. Is that what you?
I don't know, maybe. But you can figure that out as you walk out the door.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Thank you so much. I really had a transformative experience myself. And my pronouns are he, him.
Matt Walsh has done it again, and this time Hollywood is trembling. His new movie released just this past September, taking direct aims at the woke race narrative. And trust me, it's brutal. Walsh goes undercover, blending into woke circles as a self-proclaimed beta male, only to expose the absurdity of white guilt and DEI grifters like Robert DeAngelo. From getting her to hand over reparations on camera to mocking high-priced race dinners, Walsh is making waves, leaving Hollywood scrambling. So after watching this takedown, do you think the woke mob will finally stop profiting off guilt?
Well, this is our exploration of the DEI so-called anti-racist hustle, the scam. And so we want to expose these con artists for what they are, the people that are pushing this stuff. But we want to do it, comedically with humor.
Let's be real. DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion has morphed into nothing more than a lucrative business, preying on the guilt of everyday white people. What started as an effort for genuine equality has turned into a money-making scheme, where consultants and so-called experts rake in millions by convincing people they're racist simply for existing. It's no longer about fostering unity or inclusion. Instead, it's about creating a permanent state of guilt, especially for white people, and cashing in on it.
The fragility part is meant to capture how little it takes to set white people off, to set us off into defensiveness. So for many white people, the mere suggestion that white has meaning will cause us to erupt in defensiveness. For many of your listeners, the fact that I'm generalizing right now about white people will set off the defensiveness. Individualism is a really precious ideology for white people, and we do not like to be generalized about.
So let's back up a second and talk about how you got interested in this work and in this subject. I know.
Take Robert DeAngelo, for example, the woman who built her entire career around shaming white people. Her book, White Fragility, made her a fortune, all based on the claim that white people are inherently racist. Disagree? Well, that just proves you're fragile, according to her logic. The book is a goldmine of circular reasoning that leaves no room for debate. And what's the result? DeAngelo has profited massively by pushing the narrative that white people are the source of all societal problems.
There is this, they are conflating gender and sex because on one hand they say, well, you got your biological sex, but then your gender is whatever social construct. But then they turn around and say that trans women...
This is exactly where Matt Walsh steps in and tears the whole charade apart in his new movie. Walsh, pretending to be a submissive woke beta male, goes undercover to expose how these DEI experts are just cashing in on guilt. The highlight? Walsh tricks none other than Robert DeAngelo into paying reparations to his black producer. That's right, the queen of white guilt herself hands over money to atone for systematic racism. It's both ridiculous and the perfect example of hypocrisy Walsh exposes throughout the film.
Robin?
Hi. And what's your name?
I'm Matt.
Matt. Hi, Matt.
Nice to meet you.
I just had to ask who you are because you have to be careful.
Matt Walsh is known for his ability to dismantle absurd arguments with a straight face, and in his latest movie, he takes things to a whole new level with Robert DeAngelo. DeAngelo, the author of White Fragility, has made millions convincing white liberals that they're inherently racist and need to spend their lives atoning for their supposed sins. Walsh, however, turns the tables on her in a way that exposes just how ridiculous her entire philosophy is. In the film, Walsh plays the role of an anti-racist ally perfectly, feigning a deep belief in the nonsense that DeAngelo has been preaching for years. He leads her into a conversation where, little by little, she starts to unravel. You can almost see it happening in real time. She begins to admit, without realizing it, the absurdity of her arguments. Her whole shtick has been that white people are forever guilty of systematic racism, no matter what they do. And yet, under Walsh's calm and probing questions, she's forced to confront the illogical extremes of her ideology.
The interviewer was wearing a strange wig. Then the interviewer, in this wig, forces a black man to sit down and receive cash reparations. You felt like the whole thing was a setup and intended to put you on the spot, but you still paid the reparations.
And then comes the real kicker. Walsh's producer, who is black, enters the scene. This was the moment that sent the entire narrative spiraling. Walsh, still posing as a beta male ally, introduces his producer and suggests, in a completely deadpan way, that maybe DeAngelo should personally pay reparations to him for the sins of systematic racism. What does she do? She opens her wallet and hands over cash. I mean, it's as if she didn't realize for a second that she was becoming the punchline of her own joke.
Completely correct about one thing. She says that our intentions are to humiliate and discredit anti-racist educators and activists, and on that point, she could not be more right. That is, in fact, our agenda with this film.
This scene is more than just funny. It perfectly captures the absurdity of modern race debates. Robin DiAngelo paying reparations to someone she just met on camera highlights how white liberals obsess over self-punishment rather than real solutions. Her falling into this trap is both revealing and iconic.
The entire system has to burn. And I'm not going to even use save this country. This country is not worth saving. This country is a piece of
Oh, sorry.
One of the most absurd yet eye-opening moments in Matt Walsh's new movie is his satire of race dinners. These events are as ridiculous as they sound. A group of wealthy, guilt-ridden white women paying thousands of dollars just to be told how racist they are. Yes, in some woke circles, these dinners are real. They charge hefty fees for the privilege of having a person of color lecture attendees about their inherent racism, blending self-punishment with a bizarre group therapy session.
Republicans are Nazis. You cannot separate yourselves from the bad.
In classic Walsh fashion, he goes undercover, posing as a submissive white ally eager to learn. The scene is surreal. The white attendees compete to prove who feels the most guilty for their ancestors' actions. At the head of the table, the host, sipping wine, lectures them on how their very existence oppresses others. And these people lap it up, both figuratively and literally.
I'll look around the room and point to who we believe is the most racist person in the room.
What makes this scene so powerful is how Matt Walsh completely lays bare the emptiness of the whole thing. You got these women sitting there acting like they're part of some great moral crusade, but the reality is that they're not making any real difference. They're not pushing for actual solutions or trying to fix real issues. No, they're there to make themselves feel better. It's like they've convinced themselves that showing up and nodding along makes them agents of change, when in reality, it's just about soothing their own guilt.
To the George Floyd monument. Would you mind signing it? You will? What do you think about this issue of heteronormativity and how it intersects with the broader structures of racism in society?
By the time the conversation wraps up, these women are literally thanking the host, saying things like, "Thank you for enlightening us," as if they've just had some kind of life-altering spiritual awakening. It's ridiculous. You can't help but laugh at how far this whole woke thing has spiraled out of control. It's like they're desperate to feel validated, but in the end, they don't actually do anything meaningful. It's a perfect satire of how woke culture has turned into this absurd ritual, where people go through the motions of being woke without addressing any real problems. What do you think about this? Share your thoughts down in the comments section below, and don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more factual videos. See you in the next one.